So yeah, I mean, the only way I would say my work sometimes interferes with my family is that I'm a bit of a workaholic. So I love what I do. And so there have been times when my family members have come and pried me out of my seat to like, we're eating dinner now.
Hey travelers, welcome to a new video. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. In this video, I have such a treat for you all. I had the honor and privilege of interviewing none other than Heather Greenwood Davis. Y'all, Heather is a storyteller. She is an international journalist. She is a travel writer who has over 20 years of experience in the game. Currently, she is writing for National Geographic magazine, and she's been featured in outlets such as CBS Sunday Morning, Good Morning America, and the Toronto Star, just to name a few. Heather also has a website called The Globetrotting Mama, which she documented a year of her family's life in which they travel all over the world. So make sure you definitely go check that out. She continues to, give travel tips and travel advice to her readers. And in this video, you'll learn more about how to get into the travel writing industry, some of her lessons that she's learned, and some words of wisdom that she wants to share with you all today. But before we begin, make sure you smash this like button and smash the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Y'all, I literally write this stuff for you guys, record these videos for you all, because I want to see you pursue career opportunities in international affairs and to travel boldly with confidence. All right, y'all, let's get started.
My name is Heather Greenwood Davis, and you're watching Composure Under Fire.
So hi, Heather. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So Heather, could you tell us what you do and how long have you been in your current position?
Okay, so I am a travel writer. Currently, I'm a contributing writer at National Geographic. I'm also an on-air personality there, but I'm also a freelancer. So I've been freelancing full-time since 2007. And I've been with National Geographic in one capacity or another since 2012. I've been a contributing writer on the masthead since 2016.
Oh, wow. What did you do before this?
Wow. So I sort of gone in and out of things. So I was a journalist, a hard news reporter for a newspaper. I did that for a little while. And then I went to law school and became a lawyer. I practiced probably for about 8 years. And then left that to become a full-time travel writer.
Okay. What exactly inspired you to become a travel writer?
You know what? It was actually, I was unhappy in the law career. I always knew I wanted to be a writer, and I'd sort of fallen into law along the way. And I was pregnant with my oldest. I have 2 sons. So my oldest is 18 and my youngest is 16. And I was pregnant with my oldest at the time and happened on a spa in Texas that was catering to pregnant women. And I was like, all pregnant women need to know about this. This is very important information. And so I went to an editor at the paper and suggested that I should be the perfect person to write this story. And as you can imagine, after a few days of pampering at this spa, I was convinced that this was the best career in the world. And it's proven true.
When you were in law school or when you were a lawyer, did you ever think that you would wind up in this career?
I hoped. I didn't necessarily think I would be a travel writer, but pretty soon after I joined the firm, after I became a lawyer, I knew that it wasn't something I wanted to do forever. I knew that I was going to get back to writing in some way, shape, or form. And I don't think as a kid, I didn't even know there was such a career. I thought if you were a writer at a newspaper, you wrote about, murders and robberies and that sort of thing. It never occurred to me to flip to the life section, even though that was the section I loved to read. It just never dawned on me that I could be writing there.
So Heather, tell me, how do you wind up to become a travel writer? What kinds of training do you need? Is it difficult? Do you need like a certain educational background? If somebody's watching this video and they're like, I want to become a travel writer, how do they do it?
You know what the great thing is anybody could be a travel writer, right? The 2 things you need some kind of instrument that allows you to write. You need to be able to go places. And so I know travel writers who focus on local travel and things that are very close to their homes. I know travel writers who are never home and focus on international travel or on the go all the time. If you want to be published in some of the major magazines, you don't necessarily need any particular education. I do have a journalistic degree, but that's just the path I came in on. I know a lot of travel writers who write for big publications who just, parlayed their blog into, made sure the right people saw it and used clips from there to get their way in. So I think it's one of those areas that's really accessible. If you're a strong writer, if you're able to convey images through your writing, people feel like they're going places, then I think you can be a travel writer.
So you have to be a strong writer. What other kind of skills would a travel writer journalist need?
Personally, I think it's important that you're someone who is able to go to different places and not try to impose the place you're from on the place you're going. So important to me is that when I land in a place, I'm going to meet the people as they are. I'm going to accept the situation as it is. And I'm going to share what I'm seeing and feeling and smelling, tasting with people back home. So if you go into this and you are thinking, there is a right way and a wrong way to do certain things, whether everything from how you eat, you have to use a fork versus your hands or chopsticks or what have you, or you're thinking about, how you board a bus, a line has to work in a certain way or not. Those are the kinds of things that are going to make it really difficult for you. As a traveler, it makes it difficult. And as a travel writer, it makes it difficult because you really do need to be able to be open-minded enough to capture places as you see them.
And that's part of the reason, or that's part of the, reason why people should travel is to experience a culture newly rather than just bring your own and impose.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the whole point of it, right? Is that you go out there and you meet the world as it is and you learn from it. You learn about yourself while you're out there. You learn about the place you're visiting and it makes everybody better. I think that's the way it's supposed to work.
So Heather, take through an average day. What does your day look like?
There's no such thing as an average day. So which is what I love about this job. Now with COVID, things are a little different. So now I'm home. I haven't been on a plane in about 16 months. I haven't gone much further than my block in at least a few months. And so it's very different, but funny enough, I'm writing more than ever. So I'm usually up probably about 5:36 in the morning. I try to do a brief walk in the morning. Yeah, I'm an early bird. You're going to be less impressed when you hear what time I go to bed. But I'm up early. I have, like I said, I have kids. And so it's always been a habit of mine, excuse me. It's always been a habit of mine to try to get some work done before everyone's up. So it used to be that they were getting up and going to school and I was trying to get that done so that, I could help them in the morning. Now they're much older, but that habit's still there. So I tend to work very quickly in the morning. Then I'll stop. I might have interviews that I've scheduled. I might have, meetings I need to have, whether it's with editors or with subjects for stories. I might have a story I need to write. And that sort of, I get to set my day. I do that as I like throughout the day. And then usually these days around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I tend to try to wean myself off of the computer to spend some time with my family. But I'm in bed, by 8:30, I'm probably watching TV or something and probably out by 10.
How has your routine differed before COVID? Did you have the same routine more or less?
It was sort of the same routine if I was home.
Mm-hmm.
But, everything changes when I travel. I'm not somebody who's able to write while I'm on the road, and I don't try too hard to write when I'm on the road. So what often happened is I would go on a trip, come back, and then I'd need to do longer days at home and sometimes late, 9 or 10, I'm still at my desk because I needed to get the writing out before I was traveling again. So those were harder. And then once I'm traveling, it all changes all the time depending on where I am. Am I on a press trip, which is something where I'm going to be with other writers and journalists and maybe a schedule's pretty predetermined? Or am I on my own where I have some control over my time that's going to allow me to introduce my schedule and my flexibility the way I'd like? Which is part of the joy of travel, right? It's always changing. You never know what to expect. Suddenly I meet someone and I'm doing something tonight that I hadn't anticipated doing when I got up that morning. It's part of what I love.
And You mentioned you don't really like to travel while you're on the road. Why is that?
I don't like to write while I'm on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. I got it. Well, I find it, I'm a temperamental writer. So lots of people write in different ways. And I know you do a fair bit of writing as well. And I need certain things. I need to be at a desk. I need to have my stuff around me. I actually need the weather to be fairly good to get to, if I'm really going to write something, I need sunshine. All of those things sort of impact my mood and my being ready. When I'm in a hotel room, it often feels like I'm on borrowed time. So it feels like, oh, I got to get this thing done. I have 1 hour to be creative, and that never works for me. And then at the end of the day, I'm usually tired. Like, we've probably done a lot of excursions through the day, and I just want to relax. The other thing is that when you're traveling, it's important to me when I'm traveling anyway, to be immersed in the place I'm in. And so if I'm in, Beijing, I don't want to be writing about Accra, right? Like, I want to be in Beijing thinking about Beijing. And I don't tend to draw any conclusions about where I am, the sorts of things I would share, not really until I've left the place and can think back, reflect back on it. So I do share things like social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and I'll share things I'm experiencing that way. But sitting down and actually writing a story always happens at home.
Does anything surprise you when you started on the job? Like, once you became a travel writer, what has surprised you?
One, that this is a job, right? Like, both in the sense that, like, how lucky am I to do this job? I never take that for granted. I feel really, really lucky. But then the other side of it is also that this is a job. So I don't get to, people always, you see people, travel writers, like on balconies and beautiful dresses, walking the beach and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I've been on plenty of hotel visits where I never got to sit beside the pool. I never got to go lay down on the beach. I was working, right? Somebody's showing me the things I need to tell people about, or I'm experiencing something specifically, taking notes and, recording things specifically because I know that I have to tell people about it afterwards. So I think in both ways, like, it surprised me because it was so amazing, and I've been to so many places and I've had these experiences that a lot of people would dream of, and also because it can be hard.
What do you wish you would have known before you started?
Wow, I think, what do I wish I'd known before I'd started? I don't think there's anything. I'm really glad that I've learned as I've gone, this is a job that continues to surprise me. I don't, I don't even plan, like, if you were to ask me where I'm going next, I don't know. Like, I don't really plan that. We'll see where life takes me. And this job really allows for that. So all of it surprises me. And I like that.
Wow. So you don't plan, like, your trips even. You just, like, where the wind.
Well, yeah. A lot of times, like, COVID has definitely made me hesitant to plan anything. But I get invitations to places because I've been in the business now for so long. So I know a lot of the destinations and the people who represent these destinations, and they'll invite me to come, or an editor will say to me, we're looking for a story on X. Would you be interested in going to this place? So when I say, those things filter into my inbox, and I'm sort of making decisions that way, as opposed to saying, like, sitting here and saying, I would like to go to, it's not vacation, right? It is work related. So it's got to be based on, what do people need? What are people going to purchase?
I think we touched on this a little bit before. For someone who's interested in this kind of career, what kind of attributes should they have?
I think, man, if you are organized, that could be really helpful. I am not. But I imagine that would be a really useful thing. You've got to be flexible because things change all the time. You're meeting new people all the time. You've got to be open. You need to be able to write, right? You need to be, or take video, or, deliver via podcast or radio or what have you, but you have to be able to have an experience and convey that to people in a way that they can relate to. And I think you need to be relatable. I think that's really important. People need to feel like, nobody wants to watch somebody they don't like experience the world, right? Like, it's like, well, good for her. I'm not interested. No, they want somebody who feels like a friend or they can relate to. So, I've never been very polished, and I think that helps. I sort of, you get me as I am as I'm going, and I think that's one of the things that's served me well.
How do you work for different publications?
So as a freelancer, what usually happens is you are sending pitches out to various publications. So you're saying, I like Travel and Leisure or a National Geographic or a certain newspaper in your community. You're writing to an editor there. Usually there's either an assignment editor at a newspaper or an editor that's in charge of a certain section of the magazine. And you're suggesting, a great story idea to them. And then they decide and assign. And most of the time you're going to send that out and you are not going to get the assignment, especially early on. But as you build up a relationship and keep pitching and sending them out, and the more pitches you send, the better most people do. That's how you get an assignment.
Is this the same way of how to book a TV interview?
No. So a TV interview, you're usually writing to a producer. So similar in that a producer is usually responsible for certain sections of the show, for example. I do a lot of morning television and like daytime lifestyle. So there might be a producer who's in charge of travel, a producer who's in charge of food, a producer who's in charge of news. So you have to know the right person to send your pitch to. And then you're sending a very short email pitch, whereas a magazine pitch can sometimes be longer, maybe about a page. A television pitch is usually quite short, and depending on the size of the segment of the show that you're trying to get to, it can be easy or hard, right? Like big shows, if you want to be on like the Today Show in New York, that might be harder than if you try one of your local channels and have a great story idea. And as long as that idea is, relatable to the people who are watching that show, then people are going to be, the producers are going to be interested in taking a look.
What are some of the top lessons that you've learned about travel writing?
Relationships. Yeah, relationships matter a lot. Do not burn bridges. You don't want people kicking you as you fall. The same people who lift you up. You want to make sure that you're constant. You're giving as much as you're getting. I think that's important. I think it's just important in life. That'd be my top one, is to make sure that you are good to people, genuinely good to people, not good to people because you think they're going to help you get something or what have you. But that served me well, like maintaining those relationships, delivering good work. Like there's no faster way to success than actually, delivering things on time and adhering to the word counts and giving people what you promised them. Those sorts of things matter. And if you can't, if there's an issue or you're going to be late, like letting people know in advance, not in the moment that it was due, those kinds of things, people take note of them. And quite frankly, like anyone else, editors, producers, they want to work with people who make their lives easier. So if you do a good job, if you turn copy in on time, if you deliver a great story, they're going to call you again. It's always easier to work with somebody you've already worked with.
What is a little known secret about travel writers, about journalists in this industry that a lot of people don't know?
I think it would surprise people how much many journalists hate the phone. Like it's not, I know, there's a lot of talk now about like millennials don't like to talk on the phone. But that's like, journalists had a corner on that market from a long time ago. Like I just test the phone. I avoid the phone. I'd much rather an in-person conversation to hop on there. So I think that might surprise people. Other than that, there are all kinds and you need all kinds. So I think people also have in mind that like to be a journalist, you have to do, certain things and behave in certain ways. And, that's not the case at all. Like there's room for all kinds of stories. And so you should be as authentic as you can be.
Why do journalists hate the phone?
I don't know, but it's like, it seems to be this common thing where nobody, like, they're hard to get on the phone. Like, don't even try to call an editor. Like, it just won't. That's the fastest way to their, like, ugh, like, nobody likes the phone. I don't know.
So should you like try to contact like a journalist or, you know, a travel writer, like via email or like on social?
Much better. Social media is tricky. Some don't mind. Like if you send them a message, some don't mind. I don't like to discuss, story ideas or anything like that with people on social media. But I will, if I'm researching a story and say I'm looking for, or I do a lot of family travel, I might be looking for a family. Maybe I want a Black family who does a lot of work in the outdoors. Mm-hmm. I'm going to find them on social media and I'm probably going to send them a note in their messages just to let them know. So I think you can do that. I think you just have to be careful and mindful of the fact that not everyone uses their social media in the same way. So there are people who keep their social media fairly personal in terms of what they're sharing. They don't want to get a pitch from you in their DM on their social media because that's the space where they're unwinding, right? But there are other people there are editors who throw out pitches, like say, I'm looking for this or that. If you do that, please pitch me. And they're usually more open to talking like on their main pages and stuff about ideas and stories. So you just sort of have to watch first. Look at who you're looking to contact, get a sense of how they use their social media. And quite honestly, if you engage with them, it's like anything else. If you engage with them on social media in a really meaningful, honest, authentic way, you can build that relationship on there even. I've known lots of editors who've hired people directly out of conversations on social media.
What makes a good story?
The ability to listen. That's really important. I think that's at the heart of it. And the ability to empathize. So if you can see, help people see themselves in the person whose story you're telling, whether it's like, I would never do that, or that's just like me, but just being able to relate in some way, I think that's the key.
Is there a particular story that has stood out that you've written?
No, I'm particularly proud. There's a lot of stories I've written lately that I really love. I've been doing a lot of work lately around diversity. I just had a story come out that was about the Caribbean connection in Canada and the history of Caribbean people here. And as a travel story, like as you write, so we delved into the fact that Caribbean people have been in Canada since, I think it's like, I'm going to get this wrong, but I feel like it's like 1800s. And for a lot of people, that's a surprise because they believe that, Caribbean people came in like the 1960s or 1970s. So I love when I can tell stories that enlighten and actually add something new to the conversation, but still keep that travel element to them.
How has your journey as a woman of color been in this industry?
There's a couple things. So I am a Black woman, but I'm also a Canadian Black woman. So who often works on both sides. I work in the US and I work in Canada. I cannot point to a time when my color has affected, that I know of, has affected what an assignment or stopped me from moving forward. And part of that's probably because I wasn't trying to see that. I was sort of focused on what I wanted to do, very focused. I've wanted to be a writer since I was like in grade 3. Like I've been very focused on what I wanted to do. Looking back, I can definitely probably see spaces where, oh, why didn't I move ahead faster? Or why didn't I get a chance at that kind of story? I can see that now. But at the time, and I still believe this was the right way to go, I wasn't going to focus on those things because that's not where I wanted to be. I was focused on moving forward. And now that I've had some success in the space, I'm really focused on helping other people access those spaces and moving forward. So, I think everyone handles it differently. Everyone has different experiences, but it has not been my, how has being a woman of color impacted my job? I think it offers me a layer of richness that I can add to stories and experiences that not everyone has. It's one more feather in my cap in terms of delivering stories that are personal and relatable and great. Not everyone could have written that story about the Caribbean in Toronto and brought the same things that I could bring to it as a child of Jamaican parents, right? Like, I think I always say I mind my life. I take a look at my life and I try to pull it apart and take all the different attributes that I bring to a situation and use those to inform my stories.
I love it. I love how like you're focused, and I love how you use what you have to around you. That's beautiful.
Which let me tell you, that is why they talk about the fact that there's competition in the space and there what have you, and I've never felt that, because nobody else is me, right? Nobody else is you. Whatever you are bringing to this space, whatever mixture of things that have made you who you are the mixture of experiences and nationality and ethnicity and race and what have you, all the things, being a woman versus being a man, being a mother, like all of those things inform your life and how you see the world. And because no one has the same unique concoction of things that you or I do, it means that there's room for everybody. There's a million stories that could be told, and there are stories that I can't tell and shouldn't tell. And so I think it's so easy, or should be so easy in this space, to hear more people and have more stories told, especially now when you can do that online.
What is next for you in the field?
Not a clue. The whole thing, my entire career has been one constant surprise. So I started out being very clear that I wanted to be a print writer. I've started doing television so we did this year-long trip, and then so it came back in 2012. So I did my first on-air appearance ever was in 2011, just before we left, and it was talking about the fact that I was going on this trip. I was a guest on, and now I've been on Good Morning America. I'm on CBS Sunday Morning. I have regular on a bunch of shows here in Canada, never in my plan. So I've learned I'm not going to stump myself and sort of set a path that says that this is my next thing. I'm like, who knows what my next thing is, right? I'm just open to all of it. Whatever is coming my way will find me.
How has this career affected your family life? I know you mentioned your trip that you took in. Was it in 2011?
Yeah, 2011. Yeah, that was the biggest impact for sure. So at that time, my kids I think they were 6 and 8 when we left, and we spent a full year, traipsing around the world. Oftentimes it was on our own dime. So like oftentimes we were in, and they were little, one room all together, trying to figure things out and make our way through. And it solidified my family. It was the best thing we could have ever done. This year will be the 10th anniversary of leaving on that trip in a few weeks, I guess. And we are better for having done it as a family, as individuals, personally, professionally. I'm super close to my kids. They're, like I said, 18, 16, and there's never been a gap. There's never been, people talk about teenagers are so difficult, and I've had no problem. I've never had a problem with these kids, both boys. And they're very, they're still showing up if we want to play Scrabble, or if we're taking a trip, they're in. Like, there's just nothing. And I think it's because we spent all this time together and built this bond that has just, knock on wood, it's been really good. So yeah, I mean, the only way I would say my work sometimes interferes with my family is that I'm a bit of a workaholic. So I love what I do. And so there have been times when my family members have come and pried me out of my seat to like, we're eating dinner now, kind of thing. But other than that, like, I got into this field, as I said, travel writing, because I was pregnant. So, they've literally been with me through the whole ride. They've traveled with me alone, like singularly or together or as a family. they are a part of this career. So there's no distinction really.
What is your biggest challenge?
Oh, I'm terrible at saying no. I can see the story in everything, So somebody calls me, I get very excited about brainstorming ideas, and an editor will call or somebody will write and say they have this great idea. We meet for coffee, whatever, and I can see the story really quickly. And then suddenly I get back and I'm like, I don't have time to write another piece or do another program or whatever. But yeah, I think that's the hardest thing, is say no.
Yeah, that's something that I'm struggling with right now. Yeah.
It's hard, especially when travel's involved, right? Like somebody says, hey, there's this amazing a new thing in Switzerland, do you want to come? Yes, of course I want to come. Right? Yeah. But should I go to this thing right now in this moment when, I have all these things? I rarely think it through. I'm usually on the plane pretty quick.
Yeah. But then it goes back to what you're saying, when your family has to pry you away from your desk, you love what you do.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And because I was a lawyer for a period of time, and because I know I didn't love that, people sometimes will say, how could you have left the law? Or how could you have, it's a lucrative career. You could have been a billionaire or whatever. And I'm so clear about that in a way that I wouldn't have been if I had not had the experience of being miserable as a lawyer, right? It allowed me to recognize joy when it came, right?
Yeah.
So I have no regrets about having done that, but I can tell you, like, emphatically, I absolutely love my job.
You mentioned law being
yeah.
Can you be wealthy being a travel writer?
I think it's rare. Yes, I think it's possible. There are people who make, I don't know if wealthy is the right word, but there are people who make a very healthy living, being, 6 figures plus, for sure. And definitely, I know there are definitely travel bloggers who make a good living. At least, that's a little harder to measure long-term because you don't know how long you can keep that up. But so far, I've seen some travel bloggers who do that, who are making a good living at that, and usually supplemented with things. So they're working with brands to sponsor things, or they're working on, they have a television show or a book, or, they're doing lots of different things. But yes, it's possible. But it's a harder climb than being employed, for example, as a lawyer or whatever, where you're getting a steady paycheck every couple of weeks. That kind of savings opportunity doesn't happen in the same way, especially not as a freelancer, and jobs in, a newspaper or magazine editorial staff position is a lot harder to come by with every year that goes by and every publication that dies on the vine. So I think it is harder if you're starting out now to map a path to that. But and there have been lean years for me, for sure. But if I don't know if it's luck or tenacity or what, but I think if you stick with it, you can absolutely carve out a life.
Mm-hmm. Are there any resources that, for someone who wants to get into this career, that you use or that you know about that you would like to share with the audience?
I can see if I can come up with a list that I can send you, but honestly, the biggest thing you can do is read, really, other people's writing, other people's blogs, find the people who you relate to, who feel like you in the space, and sort of follow and keep an eye on what they're doing and stay connected and that sort of thing. Find a mentor in the space. I think it's easier on social media now to do that. Yeah, but in terms of resources, there are a lot of books out there about how to write, but even those I don't love, because I think writers often write. Like, the way to practice to be a better writer is to continue to write and to continue to read. And so that's your biggest strength there.
What is the best advice that you've been given?
Don't burn a bridge, for sure. Is there anything else anyone's ever told me? Be true to yourself. write yourself. Don't try to copy anyone's writing. You know, write as you write your feelings and be honest in your writing.
All right. So this is our rapid fire question round.
All right.
So 3 words or less. All right. Are you ready?
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah.
Favorite location that you've traveled to?
Everywhere I've been.
Everywhere you've been. Oh, that's clever. That's clever.
That's a cheat. Say again?
I said, I don't know if that was very diplomatic.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean it though, truly. Everywhere I've been.
Favorite food? Favorite food?
Italian in Italy. Yeah, I'll take that. Tandoori and Dar es Salaam. Either of those.
Oh, okay. Okay. Greatest attribute?
Loyalty.
What are you doing when you're not working?
Watching HBO.
What are
What am I
reading?
Oh, I'm reading You Are Your Best Thing by Tarana Burke and Brene Brown.
Oh, okay.
Very good. Yeah. Collection of stories written by Black authors that are so normal and natural, and that they're surprising. It's fantastic.
What's your greatest inspiration, or who is your greatest inspiration?
My family.
Your first job?
Oh, nursing home waitress.
Oh, okay. I never heard. Yeah, wow.
I was 13. It was, everyone should work around old people at some point. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. What is something you're most excited about?
I can't wait to watch my kids do their next greatest thing.
Oh.
They are amazing. Yeah.
What's your favorite sport?
Basketball.
Favorite movie?
Oh, I like weird movies. I bet you. I like a movie called In the Bedroom.
It says you love movies. If someone played you in a movie, who would it be?
I would say, Tiffany Haddish. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, wouldn't we all like to think it would be Angela Bassett? But I don't think, she could probably act anybody. So maybe. But yeah, maybe Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Me? Why can't I play it? I'll do it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You should be Heather starring as Heather. Oh.
Yeah, why not? And starring as Heather. Heather.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell the audience before this interview concludes?
No, not really. I mean, I'm on everything. I'm on social media. I'm on, you can learn about or read stuff I've written at my site is heathergreenwooddavis.com. If you're interested in the family travel stuff, globetrottingmama.com. There's nothing special to say, but thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And I'll definitely put all your links in the description box below. Hey travelers, well that concludes today's video. I want to thank Heather for taking the time with us today to talk about the travel writing industry. I hope you all learned a lot about this career profession, and if you did, make sure you smash the subscribe button and smash the like button for more content like this. In the comment section below, make sure you just let me know if you enjoyed this video. And until next time travelers, let's travel with our dreams together. See you later. Bye-bye.